Hey everybody, it's Brooke with the Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. We are very excited to be starting a series that we're going to carry you throughout the whole year of 2021, and it is going to be the year of Southern cooking. So what better way to start that year of Southern cooking than with good old-fashioned homemade buttermilk biscuits. Now, I know that a lot of people might think that this is hard to do, but I'm going to show you today exactly how to do it, and it's not hard at all. There are just a few simple ingredients and a few simple rules that you'll need to follow in order to do it. We've got our oven preheated to 475 degrees, and we have self-rising flour. We have a little self-rising flour reserved and a biscuit cutter. We have our biscuit pan that is very well greased, and we have 1/4 cup of butter that I have cubed into small little cubes. Now, one trick that makes this even easier is if you take it on a box grater and grate it. Or you can skip the old-fashioned method like we're using today and do all of this in your food processor. We also finish that off with a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar if you would like. And what makes buttermilk biscuits? Well, that would be the buttermilk. So we're going to show you how to take all these basic ingredients and bring them into a beautiful, fluffy, tender on the inside, crispy on the outside, bite of perfection. So let's show you how to do that now. So in a pretty large bowl, we're going to add in 2 cups of self-rising flour. I don't love a sifter. I love my little hand whisk. And I sift my flour with a whisk. And this is an easy little tip and trick if you don't have a flour sifter, or if you're like me and you don't love a flour sifter. So to this, we're going to add just a pinch of salt and just a pinch of sugar. And all those 2 things do is just work with one another to balance out the acidity of the buttermilk. So now that we have those sifted in and incorporated in well, we're going to add in our cubed cold butter that I have already just sliced up into chunks. Now, like I said before, you can totally do this step in your food processor if you have one. I just prefer to feel what I'm doing. So I like to use my pastry cutter. And what you're looking for is the consistency of cornmeal or small peas. So you're just going to, if you have a pastry cutter, you're just going to take it and just push down that butter into the flour. And you'll notice every once in a while I'll kind of stir it up. And that's just to kind of wrap those butter pieces in the flour. And it doesn't take long to come to the desired consistency that you need. And every once in a while you may have to use your clean hands to clean off that pastry cutter. Now you'll see what I'm talking about. You get kind of a mealy texture and it starts to look like you have small peas in there. So this is what is normally called in the South cutting your butter into your flour. So we have done that, and all this does is just make sure that you have butter kind of spread throughout all 2 cups of your flour. Now another neat tip and trick is to take your 1/4 cup of butter, which is roughly about a 1/2 stick, and put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes, and then just run it on your big box grater and then mix that in as well. And then you don't have to do so much cutting in, but you see the consistency is great. It's like small peas, and we've got it all mixed in. Now I like to do the mixing portion of this with a fork. and take my buttermilk and add about half of it in there. And then we're just going to take our fork and pull it in from the sides and start to form a dough. And you'll notice that about half of that buttermilk, which is 1 cup of buttermilk, doesn't seem to go far. So now we're going to add in the other half. And then we're going to kind of fold the rest of the flour into that. Now it's very important that you just mix this just until it comes together. It's gonna look sticky, it's gonna look scraggly, but what you're looking for is for that excess flour to kind of pull away from the sides of the bowl to form a soft dough. Now that is as far as I go with it. That is what we call a scraggly biscuit dough. So I'm going to set that to the side, and then I'm going to take my excess flour and lightly flour my surface. Now just like mixing the dough, you don't want to overwork your dough. An overworked dough is the surefire thing to keep you from having a tender biscuit. So we're going to keep that little reserve close by. Now, this is important. I like to flour my hands really well, and then I take all of that biscuit dough and I press it into a mound. All right, now we got a pretty little mound here. Now I'm going to simply squeeze that together just a little bit more, and then I'm going to turn it over, keeping my hands floured over here to the side. And I'm going to take it and flatten it out, and then turn it over onto itself once. Flatten it out, turn it over again, flatten it out, and I like to turn it over once or twice during this process just to make sure I don't have excess flour on one side. And then we're going to do that final tri-fold again. And I'm going to turn it over, lightly flour underneath, and then I'm going to press it out. Now, depending on what size you make your biscuits, this recipe makes anywhere from 6 to 9. Now, I like to make mine kind of big, so I'm using a 2.5-inch cutter, and I'm going to flour it really well. And you see I've got my dough rather thick. So I'm going to take that biscuit cutter and press straight down, then come straight back up. No twisting unless you want a hard, crisp edge. And then I'm going to get as close as I can and do the same thing there, and then bring that guy up, and what you have are these beautiful layers. Now, everybody likes their biscuits to have that tall, dimply top. I take these 2 fingers, hold the biscuit in my left hand, and I just lightly press and squeeze. And see what a difference that makes in the side of the biscuit. And if you wanted a few more dimples in the top, you could just tap it with your finger, and then we put that on our greased pan. So I'm going to do the same thing with this guy and put him on the greased pan. Now, this is my scrap dough. So I'm simply going to take it and form another mound. And because I don't want to overwork the dough, I'm going to press it back out and get me another couple of biscuits off of it, and repeat that process. Same thing, just a little more scrap here. So I'm going to bring in some flour, squish it down, maybe turn it over to make sure I don't have too much excess on the bottom. And then I'm going to cut it and squeeze and dimple. Look at that, so pretty. And because I'm using a large cutter, I'm only going to get about 6 biscuits out of this making. So if you use a little bit smaller of a biscuit cutter, you can certainly make it go farther. Or what's even better is you can double this recipe. So there we have it. We have just a little bit of excess dough, and I won't throw it away. I'll keep it. And if you wanted to make a hand rolled biscuit, you just roll it up into a nice ball like that. Flour it good. Press it down and do the same little thing, and you'll have just a nice little mini biscuit that you can put in the middle. Now you have less of a work area to clean up, and your biscuits are ready to go. So what we do at this point is very simple. You can do one of two things. You can spray the tops with olive oil or canola oil if you're watching your fat intake, or you can brush the tops with butter now and as soon as they come out of the oven. But these are going to go into your 475-degree oven for anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes depending on your oven. In mine, they'll probably cook in about 10 to 12 minutes. So we're going to just spray them lightly on the top, come back, and then we're going to butter these biscuits and show you how perfect they are. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, we're back, and we have finished about an 11-12 minute cook time, and we have these gorgeous, beautiful, tall, mile-high, flaky layer biscuits that we made from scratch here at the Buttered Home. And you can do this in your home too with just these simple ingredients. Now, one of the things that I did do is when I checked them about 10 minutes in, the tops were not starting to brown like I wanted them to, so I brushed them with just a little bit of melted butter. Now you can do this when they're almost done as well as when they come out of the oven. Butter makes everything better. So you have these gorgeous, beautiful layers and this soft, beautiful biscuit on the inside that is just calling your name. And then we like to take just a little bit of butter, and I'm going to get my butter because you see this bright yellow butter right here? That's Big D's butter. That's his Kerrygold. So he's very particular about that. But they are cooked all the way through. They have these beautiful flaky layers. The bottoms are not too done, and the tops are golden and delicious. So these are a real thing of beauty, and you can make them as easily as we just did. The trick is, don't overwork your dough. So make sure that you are following us all year long, as it is the year of Southern cooking at the Buttered Home, because we want you here. If you haven't already, be sure you hit the subscribe button and the ding the bell so that you can be notified whenever we drop new videos. You won't want to miss a thing this year. Also, if you're not following us on our social channels, do those here. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and we cook live every Monday night there. So for great recipes like this and more Southern cooking for a whole year, be sure to join us here at YouTube and all our social channels. And as usual, from the Buttered Home to your home, we love y'all. Bye.